Hey everyone, welcome back to the studio. Today we're tackling something straight out of the produce aisles, a realistic bunch of celery. But before I even pick up a knife, I have to be 100% honest with you. Looking at this finished cake, I see mistakes. I see a base that's too bulky and stalks that are a little too slim. But guess what? That is exactly how we grow as artists. And today I'm showing you the whole process, the wins and the oops, so you can take these lessons and apply them to your next masterpiece. Let's get into it. Now, when you're looking at a bunch of celery, you're looking for that tapered look. I started with my cake layers, but here is where I went off track. I left the base way too wide. Because you see, in my head, I wanted a sturdy cake. But in reality, it made the celery look a bit heavy. When you're doing sculpted cakes, proportions are everything. Once I got the shape down, I covered it in my signature fondant. And now notice how I'm using this tool to drag those long vertical lines? Real celery has these deep ridges, and you have to be intentional with that texture if you want to trick the eye. So now we're building the individual stalks using modeling chocolate. I love this medium because it stays where you put it, and I'm placing these one by one to give it that bundled look. But here is my second lesson for you. I should have made those stalks much larger. By making them small, I ended up with too many of them, and it lost that grocery store vibe. It's a scale game, friends. It's a scale game. You want the viewer to recognize the item instantly without having to think about it. As we all know, precision is key, but so is knowing when to go big. And I think I was just a little too scared to do so. You see this? You see that skinny piece of celery stalk? Now, if I was thinking about proportions, that thing would have been at least twice as big, potentially three times as big. Because when you think about a bunch of celery that you get from the grocery store, man, in this economy, you'd be lucky if you get 8 pieces. So, I mean, this bunch that I made, I guess I was thinking about way back in the late 1900s where you got more bang for your buck. I don't know. But yeah, looking back, I definitely just went too small on some of the stalks. Okay, so now it's time to add a little soul and razzle dazzle to this cake. I am using my favorite paints ever created, ever by Karen Portaleo paints. And I actually mix mine with Everclear. Now, why Everclear, you may ask? Well, it evaporates instantly. It won't turn your fondant into a sticky mess. And to be completely honest with you and transparent, I just haven't mastered using the fast and slow diluters that come with the paints. So I just tend to stick with my old faithful Everclear. And for those of you who do not have access to Everclear, you can substitute it with vodka or lemon extract. So that's just a little tidbit. So as you're watching me do this, I first started with a base of yellow, green, and white to create the base. And then as I'm starting to add the shading, I do add some red so that you can darken the tones, as well as some yellow ochre. And I think I'm saying that right. Yellow ochre, ochre. How do you pronounce that word? Okay, so I started going back to touch in some of the areas to make them darker, to make sure that the stalks look like individual pieces. And then I also used like this carving tool to push in so that you can sort of like see the roundness of the modeling chocolate pieces, if that makes any sense. I hope it does. To create the stub at the end of the stalk, I mixed some olive and yellow ochre and then went in to create the dirty areas. I added red to that mixture. And to make sure that the green from the stalks, the lower end, mixed in well with the white area, literally all I did was I took my paintbrush, wiped it off on a piece of paper towel, and then I just used the dry paint to pull that green down so that it blend effortlessly with the white. So then I attempted to make leaves using wafer paper, but I don't know, for some reason I just could not get into my groove, and so I decided to pivot. I instead rolled my modeling chocolate paper thin, see-through thin, and used a peony leaf veiner. Using a veiner or flower veiner for vegetables really is a pro tip for getting that organic, grown from the earth look that we all try to achieve in hyper-realistic cakes. So we're near the end, folks, and the question you may have is this my favorite cake ever? Maybe not. Maybe not. But do I feel like I'm a better artist for having made it or made it? Absolutely. Because you see, every mistake is just a data point for your next win. And for those of you who want to see the deep dive on how to mix these exact colors, or you want the recipes for my modeling chocolate and fondant, come join me in the cake space with Mimi. There, I share the real deal process. No gatekeeping here, so you can create cakes that you're proud of. And I'll see you in the next video. Until then, everybody, stay sweet, my friends. Bye.